every single year I would go down to a little town in Texas called Corsicana, Texas. The name of that community college was called Navarro Community College, and there was a legendary junior college coach down there by the name of Lewis Moore. He'd been down there for years. He was an old friend of mine, and so every year I went down to recruit his players. And I walked into his facility, something really similar to this one. I remember Coach Orr in his southern accent saying, "Coach Potter, you gotta take a look at old Reggie Riley." And old Reggie was over there stretching, getting ready to play. His name was Reggie Riley. He was from Detroit, Michigan. He'd come from a really difficult background, and yet there he was in Corsicana, Texas. He was a 6'2" forward. Now, if you know anything about basketball, those two things don't go together very often, do they? We don't find 6'2" 4 men. You know, most 4 men are going to be, at the college level, are going to be 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", and so on. But Coach Orr starts to describe Reggie Riley. And Coach Orr said, "Coach, Reggie's special." He said, "This young man does things that nobody else does." He said, "It was all conference for me down here," and he said, "He's not being recruited by anybody because he's 6'2", and he struggled a little bit academically." Now, I'm going to come back to the academic side of that in a second. He said, "But let me tell you about him as a basketball player." He said, "Here's what's going to happen today." He said, "We have split our teams up evenly. We're going to run about 7 or 8 games, and if everything goes down today like it has been, Reggie's team, no matter who I put on his team, is going to win every game. He's going to sweep. He's going to sweep today." Okay, that sounds pretty special to me. He says, and furthermore, Reggie's not going to go over and sit down in between the games. He's going to maybe get a quick swig of water, but he doesn't even really go get drinks of water. Like, he doesn't sit down. He goes right back out to the floor. He works on his game, never wastes a second, never wastes a minute. He is what I call a 1%er. A 1%er is somebody that does things that 99% of the other population won't do to get to the highest level. Reggie had qualities like I had never seen, and all I was hearing was this description of a 1%er. Sure enough, I watched Reggie play. Reggie could put it on the floor. He could get to the rim. He was so good. He was fluid. He was just a natural player on the floor, and his leadership abilities, and he did it very quietly, were unbelievable. He swept every game that day. His team won all, just like Coach Orr said. Reggie happened to be the best mid-range shooter that I ever coached. So when I say mid-range, Reggie was the greatest in my 30 years of being a head coach, mid-range shooter that I ever coached. The ironic thing about him is that he could go all the way out to the three-point line, put his heels on the three-point line, and he could stroke that shot as well as he could stroke the 15-footer. So when I say mid-range, it really goes all the way out to the three-point line. Here's the real ironic thing about him. Didn't take one three-point shot in junior college. And when he came to play for me, he didn't take one three-point shot his junior year, and I'll finish that story in a second. When I say something, I say this young man's special, I'm talking about another level special. I couldn't wait to talk to him that day, so when he finished playing, I introduced myself to Reggie, and Reggie said, "Well, Coach, I got to take a 3-hour class over the summer to be eligible to play next year." And you guys say, "Well, he's a 1%er in basketball, but he wasn't a 1%er academically." Let me qualify that statement. You see, in 30 years of being a head basketball coach, I had many players that were great students, and many players that were average students, and many players that struggled academically. Struggling academically looks like two different things to me. Number one is they may have something in their background like a reading issue, as Reggie did, that he struggles with. Therefore, he struggles when he takes tests because it's a struggle for him to read. Reggie Riley, when I say he was a 1%er, was in every class, was in class on time, always turned in his assignments on time. He was in the first 3 rows of every class that he was in. Now, we made that a mandatory thing. Do I need to step back a little bit? Is that me stepping too far in front, maybe? Reggie was also a 1%er active, even struggled some. said, Reggie, we got to get you over to Newman University in Wichita, Kansas. We got to get you in a 3-hour class. He said, Coach, I'm not going to sign with you until I come to see you on campus. I said, that's fine, I get that, I respect that. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring him in on our dime back in those days, so that he had to pay for it from anything. He didn't have any money. Reggie figured out a way when he got back to Detroit to get in a 3-hour class that he could be in. He passed that class in the summertime. He also figured out a way to make a trip from Detroit, Michigan, all the way to Wichita, Kansas. He called me up. He said, Coach, I'm coming next Wednesday. I said, what time are you going to be there? He said, noon. I said, well, what time's your flight take off? He said, no, Coach, I'm not flying. He said, I'm riding the train. I said, you're riding the train? I said, when do you leave? He says, well, Tuesday at noon. It took me 24 hours on the train. When I say 1%er, I mean he was determined to do what he needed to do to be successful. He took the train for 24 hours. He came to Newman. We got him signed. He took the train again, back home, and then when he came to Newman in August, the train again. Incredible. He got to Newman University and started playing. First team all-conference his junior year led us to the national tournament. Honorable mention all-conference his senior year led us back to the national tournament. His junior year, I'll never forget when he came in, I knew he did not take the three-point shot in junior college. And I said, why don't you take threes, Reg? And I said, you can go all the way out to the three-point line. He says, Coach, my junior college coach said I wasn't supposed to take a three. I said, okay. I said, here's what I'm going to tell you. I said, I just want you to be you, Reggie. You just be you. You keep doing what you're doing. And I didn't say you could or could not take a three-point shot. He does not take one three-pointer his entire junior season. After he finished, I said, Reg, I want you to go home this summer. I want you to work on a three-point shot. I want you to come back with the ability to take some three-point shots your senior year. When I say 1%er, I didn't have to be in Detroit, Michigan, watching Reggie practice every day because I knew what he was doing. He was practicing. He was still working on his strengths, but he was also working on that three-point shot. He came back his senior year and he hit 48 threes his senior season for us. 48. And had never taken a three prior to that. I tell you, everybody hear me okay? I tell you all these things about Reggie Riley because he was, when I say special, it's just special at another level. You know, we used to record 150 free throws a week. They had to do it outside of the practice. Reggie shot 78% on those 150 free throws outside of practice. That's an okay percent. He shot 84% in games, and he shot 92% in the last 4 minutes of games. He was the direct opposite of what most players accomplish. I would ask him, I said, Reg, why are you so good under pressure? He said, Coach, if you saw where I come from, you'd understand, man, making a basket is no big deal. That's what we're supposed to do, isn't it? Like, he had no fear. And if he did have any fear, he didn't show that he had fear. And he sure as heck didn't play like he had any fear. So I tell you all that story about Reggie Riley because I can count on, one hand how many players that I can tell you a story that were true 1%ers. And Reggie brought all of those things that, as coaches and as other athletes, we need to take a look at that. We need to study that. We need to figure out why is this guy so much different than everybody else. And so the first thing I want to talk about today, here comes the first strategy in regards to mental toughness. The first strategy has to do with your negative thoughts. So I've already told you I was a head basketball coach for 30 years. For the first 23 to 24 years of my head coaching career, negative thoughts totally affected how I went about my day. Now I want you to think about this for a second. How many times, whether it be in your sport or in your life in general, has a negative thought taken you out of what you wanted to accomplish? Just think about that for a second. You can probably come up with quite a few things where, I didn't perform very well in that game because I felt the pressure and the negative thoughts got to me and go on and on and on, right? I can tell you a lot of stories about that personally. So, about 7 years ago, as I was the head basketball coach at Newman University, the sports psychologist come rolling in there to speak to all of our student athletes. His name was Dr. Spencer Wood. I didn't know this guy from Adam. And he came to Newman University and he started to speak. And I remember walking into the facility, maybe probably similar to some of you guys today, like, man, I don't know if I want to listen to this guy for an hour today. I was tired. I didn't want to listen to somebody speak for an hour. And man, was I blessed to hear that man speak, because what he did was he gave strategies consistently for an hour and 15 minutes for not just myself, but also all of our student athletes to be better people, better athletes, and live their life with a whole heck of a lot more peace. And so the first strategy that he talked about was, he says, here's what you have to do. He says, you've got to start to document your negative thoughts. And I thought to myself, I listened to this man speak for an hour and 15 minutes. He started speaking, and I couldn't wait to talk to him after he finished. And so he finished speaking, and I said, Dr. Wood, I said, I have a son that's a professional golfer. He played 4 years of college golf. He's now going into his second year of playing professional golf, and he's kind of struggling. And man, I want to get him with you. And I said, how much do you cost? He said, well, Coach, I humbly tell you, I get paid quite a bit of money for what I do. I said, well, give me your bottom line. He said, well, it's $5,000 for 10 one-hour sessions. I'm like, okay, that's a lot of money. I was a Division II coach. I wasn't a Bakersfield College Division I coach. But I got to thinking about that, and I thought to myself, what's the price that anybody would pay to be able to perform better when you're in the most situations? What's the price that we would pay for that? I don't know if you can put a price on that, can you? Because if you can perform better in stressful situations, or whether it's in life, then what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot more peace no matter what. And you can't put a price on having more peace in life. You cannot put a price on that. I talked to him for a little while longer. He says, I'll tell you what, Coach. He said, he told me a story about, I told him a little bit about my personal story, depression. I said, man, I'm going to start using some of these strategies for myself, and then I'm going to start using them with my team. He said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to email you when I get back to my office in Atlanta, Georgia on Monday. He said, I'm going to tell you my exact bottom line for your son. I said, okay, great. He emails me on Monday and tells me, he says, here's the deal, Coach Potter. He says, I'm going to give your son half price. He said, $2,500 for the first year only. He said, but here's the catch. He has to fly from Wichita out to Atlanta, Georgia. He said, I will pick him up at the airport. I'll work with him for 4 to 5 hours. I'll put him back on that airplane. And then I'll also do the 10 one-hour session. And I thought, oh my goodness, what a heck of a deal. And I called my son up and I said, Zach, my son's name is Zach. Zach, this guy's going to work with you for half price. And my son had to raise this money to be out there. And he said, Dad, I can't. And you know what my comment was? My answer was, well, you cannot. You've got to afford it. You have to afford it. You cannot afford it. You've got to be there. Needless to say, my son got the ticket off to Atlanta and went. He got back to Atlanta, Georgia. My son had 2 weeks when he got back. He was preparing to go to what they call qualifying school in professional golf. Now, qualifying school is the most pressurized golf that any professional golfer will play. Because if they don't get to what they call third stage, they won't make it to the PGA. Unless they're in that less than 1% of players that do that. So most of those guys that you see playing on television every weekend are guys that had to go through all the way to third stage of what they call qualifying school in golf. My son was getting ready to go to first stage. So you got to make the cut in first stage, then you got to make the cut in the second stage, and then you got to get to third stage before you get any kind of status on the PGA Tour. So he was only going to first stage, but here's the problem with it. They only have it once a year. So if you don't get it done, you don't make the cut, you go back to the mini tours and you don't make a living. So there's a lot of pressure on what he's getting ready to do. I said, Zach, I said, what is the first assignment? What's he going to have to do? He said, well, you're going to have me document my negative thoughts for 1 week every day when I get off of the golf course. Now listen to me now. I am challenging every person that's sitting in this room today to do this very thing. I did it myself. All of my players have done it. My son did it. I'm telling you right now, when you document your negative thoughts, here's what happens. you're going to start to realize that you have a lot of things on that list of negative thoughts that are what we call irrational thoughts. An irrational thought is something that you cannot control. It's only something that you're worried about, but you can't control. And so, when you start to recognize what your negative thoughts are, then you can start to do something about it in the moment when the stress is on, whether you're in the classroom, whether you're on the court, whether you're on the golf course, wherever. So you must, I challenge all of you for 1 week, you go home at your time, at your convenience, for 1 week, you must document your negative thoughts. That's what my son did. I said, well, what's your next assignment? He said, well, Dr. Spencer Wood said I got to come up with what he calls a go-to sentence. I said, a go-to sentence? He said, yeah, a go-to sentence. So my son comes up with his go-to sentence, and off to qualifying school he goes. It was in October, so we had started basketball practice back at Newman. I couldn't go watch him play, but I would always be checking my phone to see if there was a text on there to find out how he shot that day, how he played that day. It's 4 rounds, and he had to get in the top 27 in order to move to the second stage. There were over 100 golfers in that tournament. Day number 1, he shoots me a text, and it says, well, I shot 100 today, Dad, I'll call you later. I thought, okay, 100 is bad. I didn't know what place he was in. He called me up and he said, Dad, I played about 9 holes in wind and rain today. He said, I'm in 16th place. He said, I used my go-to sentence often today. He said, I was so much more mentally tough today than I've ever been on a golf course, ever. I said, pretty good. You're in 16th place, 1 day at a time, 1 shot at a time. Day number 2, I'm in practice again, and I'm checking my phone, and I see a number come on my phone, and that number says 63. That's all it says for my son. It said 63. I told my guys to shoot free throws, and I walked out and I called the third. I said, 63? He said, 9 birdies and no bogeys, Dad. Here's the kicker. Our son had never shot below a 66 in a college or a professional tournament. And now in the most pressurized golf tournament he ever played in, he shoots a 63. That's like a basketball player who averages 10 points going out and hitting 38 in the most pressurized game of the year. That's what that's equivalent to. You can make that equivalent to all these different sports, right? My goodness, I was pretty excited for him. He went ahead and won the first stage of Q School. He gave me a description of how he handled his stress differently, because even about a month ago, I said, can you take me through that round of 63 that you shot that one time? And he said, Dad, I'll take you through it, Dad. I'm not going to go through all the details, but here's what he told me in a nutshell. He said, you know, after the 9th hole of the day, I was 5 under. He had been at 5 under many other times in his career, but he had never gotten to 9 under. Why? Because the stress got to him. He was not able to handle the stress and the pressure coming down the stretch of the golf tournament. And now he said, I'm not going to lie, Dad. He said, I had tears in my eyes when I was walking from number 9 to number 10. He said, because for the first time ever, I knew I had ammunition to use for myself when the stress hit. And he said, it wasn't easy. He said, I still felt stress. He said, but then I knew how to deal with it because I was using my go-to sentence. I understood when I started the negative thought process and I could fix it immediately when the stress was happening. And so what is a go-to sentence? A go-to sentence is any thought that will get you back in the moment. So this next sentence I'm going to actually read it here. It's one of the most important sentences that I ever was able to comprehend in this whole process of mental toughness. Here's what it says. When you occupy your mind with positive thoughts, you will no longer worry about results. See, we are all, including me, result-oriented. We all think about the result. Like, man, I gotta get 2 hits today. My average is starting to dip a little bit. Man, I got hit hard last time, so I gotta make sure I go low. I gotta make sure I keep from scoring today. I'm a pitcher, I got to make sure the ERA goes down. I'm a volleyball player, and I got to make sure I get those serves in right. I got to aggressive. All those things we think about, those are results. I could go on and on about your sport and how it affects you, right? Those are results. And so the key in your go-to sentence is to anything that will allow you personally to get back in the moment. So it's any thought that will not allow you to think about results. All right, so stick with me for a second here. Here was my son's go-to sentence when he shot the 63. Now this is a little longer, but often you have a little more time to think. I'm going to give you some shorter versions here in a bit. Here was his. Today I will play smart, yet aggressively. I will play to win and not fear poor results. I will not be afraid of pressure, embarrassment, or failure. And I think every last one of us sitting in here today, there are times when we haven't performed or coached to the level that we need to because we are afraid of failure. We're afraid that we might be embarrassed in front of other people. Why? I'm guilty of this, but why we give other people so much power to affect us to be afraid is beyond me when you actually think about it. Unfortunately, I was guilty of that one for many years. He put that go-to sentence right on his golf bag, so when the stress hit, he could just go over and just read a bit of it and remind himself to get back into the moment. His second go-to sentence was this: I will be more committed to the process than the result. Because the results are just a byproduct of my commitment to the process. So it is about staying committed to the process. That is what it's about. So shorter versions, ones that you guys can use for yourselves, would be this. Number one, I will be more committed to the process than the result. When I say that to myself, that immediately makes me think, okay, let's get back in the moment, let's focus on what we have to do. The second one, I will not fear failure or embarrassment. One of the things that I recognized in my final 8 to 10 years of coaching was that I had more players that were more afraid to fail because of that embarrassment factor. Like, the only people, the people that are the 1%ers, the one that actually go to that level, that next level, I mean, most of the time, and we're all human beings, by the way, we're all broken people, okay? So we all fail at times. But the ones that are able to do it consistently, I can tell you right now, most of the ones that I know, they're not afraid to fail, and they're not afraid of being embarrassed. They're not afraid of putting their team on their back. They're not afraid of leading their team. They're not afraid of any of those things. And that's one of the things that I want to challenge all of you athletes in here today, is that I always get to this, I'll probably say it a couple times today, but if you guys are afraid to fail, then the number one priority for you is to recognize whatever your go-to sentence is, and all of your go-to sentences can be a little different. You use identical to what I'm giving you if you want, because it only matters that you get back into the moment. And that you are telling yourself, I'm not going to be afraid to fail, I'm not going to be embarrassed. Because guess what? Every one of us are going to make mistakes. Every one of us are going to have bad days. Every one of us on a basketball floor are going to miss shots. Every one of us are going to do stupid things every now and then. We're going to throw an interception. We're going to fumble the football. We're going to do things that we don't like. The people and the athletes that can overcome are the ones that can get back in the moment the quickest after the adversity hits. That's why I love the go-to sentences so much. Last year during the NCAA tournament, I'm from Kansas, as I said, and I was watching the University of Kansas play in the NCAA tournament. And one of their best shooters was on the baseline. He had just hit his third three-pointer in a row.